We are back with another episode of Eat This, Drink That. For the day, we have Ali Khan, our food expert. We got Steve Greer, our beverage expert. I'm Ryan Crosby, and let's get on with it. Steve, what is your drink that for today?
Let's call this Negroni Part 3 for simplicity. But it really, now we're in full-fledged variations of.
Variations
So
of
let's
Negroni.
talk about what a Negroni is. Then you can, if you deconstruct it, then you can build it back up any way you want.
Okay.
You're bringing 3 components from the liquids that you're using. You have your base spirit, whatever that flavor profile is. So with a traditional Negroni, gin brings juniper. You have a aromatic. So sweet vermouth brings aromatics. Then you have a bitter component. Campari is the bitter.
Okay.
So let's bring this back now. So my aromatic for variations is Lillet. This is a French aperitif wine. So it's wine-based, just like vermouth, has aromatics in it.
Okay.
So we're going to use Lillet for
This is replacing the Campari that we've used in other episodes.
No, replacing the vermouth.
Replacing the vermouth. Okay.
It's the new wine liquor.
Okay.
And it's not sweet. This is dry.
Oh.
So it's a different flavor component too.
Okay.
Then we're going to use something called gentian root French liqueurs. We're going off reservation right now.
Okay.
Pretty far off reservation. This is not Campari. This is not sweet. This is bitter.
Okay.
And it's fantastic.
What is it called?
Genepi is one. It's made by Dolan.
Oh, okay.
It uses the gentian root. And then Suze, which what we're going to use today.
Wow.
Dude, this is like 2.1. This is some next level Negroni. Yeah. I don't know what the hell he's using. This is insane.
And wait till we get to the spirit.
Wait, that's 4 things, you dummy. You said 3.
No. Well, no, the gentian. These are two different of the same coin.
I see.
So these are both gentian.
He's using the Suze.
I'm just going to use Suze.
Okay.
Duh.
I mean, use either one of those. And are those
the base spirit?
Are those 375s or 750s?
These are all 750s.
Okay.
They don't make 375s.
Okay, gotcha.
They're a little more shelf stable because they're at 20% alcohol also.
Okay.
That's the other thing. We're upping the ABV of this cocktail. This is not a shy cocktail. We're using mezcal too. Pelton de la Muerte means death squad in Spanish.
Amazing.
This is actually a liter. This is a really fun mezcal to have at your house. It's not that expensive. I think it was $30. It's a liter.
Wow.
That's cheap. Like 30 for a liter.
I think it's 30. I can't remember.
It's called Death Squad. This is the greatest episode we've ever done.
Yep. Pelton de la Muerte.
Peloton.
Can we just have that and watch Narcos Mexico?
That's the other thing. These are into the evening cocktails. This is not, you're not sitting around having appetizers. We're going to sit back after dinner. We're going to relax. We're going to have a Negroni or variation of, and we're going to watch whatever you want.
Narcos Mexico. Dude.
There you go.
This is exciting.
So, let's talk about mezcal for a second. So the difference between tequila and mezcal is how it's cooked and the agaves they use. Okay. There's probably 30 or 40 agaves that you can make an agave spirit from. Tequila, always 100% Blue Weber agave. So it's one agave. They either cook it in a masonry oven, like a big brick oven, kind of steams it, or you're in a autoclave. All you're doing, because there isn't really sugar in a agave plant, there's a carbohydrate called inulin, and you have to hydrolyze that carbohydrate to convert it over to sugars. so you can do a fermentation, create alcohol, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
In mezcal and different areas of the country make mezcal. This is from Oaxaca. They actually cook them they'll put fiery embers in the ground. Then they put the plants on top. Then they cover it all up. It cooks for 2-3 days. It's adding a smoky flavor to the agave before crushing and distillation. Okay. So mezcal is smoky. They also use all kinds of different agaves. This is espadín. There's some high-end mezcals that use wild agave. So somebody has to walk around the countryside till they run into a wild agave that might have taken 20 years to grow.
Sick.
And they pull that out of the ground. They're amazing.
Wow. For real? There's like at the cool story, does it taste better?
Yes. It tastes different. You can go to a more grassy. Some of them have like this grassy, herbaceous note. You can go full smoke.
Is it like the national wine of tequila? I mean, I'm using broad terms here. I mean, I know it's mezcal, but
that's a fun little descriptor. Yeah. This is also the geekdom of agave spirits.
Yeah.
Because there's so many variations. Who made it? The agave type that they used, how they cooked it, how they distilled it.
Is mezcal always like kind of cooked over these embers? Because what I know about mezcal is because it's smoky.
It's smoky. So it's almost always smoky. There's levels of smoke in a mezcal. One might not be as smoky as the other. But you could literally put 15 mezcals out, do a taste test across all of them. They're all going to taste different.
I like it smoky. I like Bing Crosby 96 at a fish show smoky.
There's a great place in your hometown, Ali, in Austin called Suete.
Yeah.
That has an amazing list of agave spirits, mezcals, and cocktails with mezcal. I love mezcal and cocktails because if you remember from the other episodes, we're talking about wanting an assertive base spirit. Gin is very easy because a juniper-heavy gin is going to be super assertive.
Okay.
Or the bourbon, that Boulevardier that we made, the bourbon, we had a little higher alcohol, but bourbon's pretty assertive too by itself.
Right.
You also want a high rye bourbon for a cocktail. So the second grain is rye, so a more spicy forward sweetness. This, you can't hide mezcal. It's smoky.
Word.
But I'm not going, you can do the 1-to-1-to-1. Why? I want more mezcal. So we're doing 1.5.
I feel like all these variations is just Greer getting bombed. And also this one's like, this isn't about food. this is dinner's done. I feel like this is the road to late night tacos. Is this portion?
Yes.
Like, go to the truck. Call the Uber.
So we're going 1.5 ounces, 3/4. So 1.5 ounces of mezcal, 1.5 ounces of the Suze, 3/4, sorry, and then 3/4 of Lillet.
Yo, can you get this drink at a bar? Like, this is some insane combinations of stuff here.
It depends on what bar. I've been to bars where I've asked for a White Negroni with mezcal, and they're like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" If you're going to a mixology bar, they're going to have Suze and Lillet or Genepi, and I'm forgetting there's one more.
It's all three of those. Lillet, which I've seen a lot. I feel like it's like what Hannibal Lecter sips on after he ate your face. You know what I mean? Like Lillet. But then to have that plus mezcal, it's just like I feel like it's like 16-year-old Ali Khan in the liquor cabinet going, this will all work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can go to Suerte and they will make you a White Negroni. Funny part about this name, I just usually will call it a Mezcal Negroni because Genetian root provides a yellowish tint to the Suze. I think it's the Genesian root. It doesn't matter. Suze has a yellow tint to it. So when we make this cocktail, we're going to make it right now. It's going to be yellow. It's not white. So we're going to go 1.5 ounces, 3/4.
Steve, what's
if
the,
you
what's
remember,
the proof?
I do not like building cocktails
What's the
in
proof on
glasses.
the mezcal? Is the mezcal?
Oh, you know what? Death Squad better be 45. No, 41.
41. Okay.
Yeah.
Go to the episode. Death Squad better be 45.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, Steve. I cut you off. So you were about to start.
No. I don't. I like building. I build cocktails in my shaking tins.
That's your one. I like it.
I like. You don't have to stir that long because we don't want a lot of dilution. It's still going to be poured into a glass with a rocks glass with a nice piece of ice. I'm doing a quick stir just to combine the ingredients, and we're done. We're going back to our bartender's measuring system, the jigger. So remember, 2, 1.5 inside. There's a graduated line. This side is 1 ounce, 3/4, half.
All right.
So 1.5 ounces of mezcal. It doesn't matter what agave spirit. As soon as I open it, I mean, you know it's tequila or it's mezcal or it's racia, whatever. You know you're drinking agave. But this one's pretty assertive on the smoke.
Steve, do you like
not as smoky as some other ones?
Do you like putting your nose up to bottles when you open them? Just in general, do you like getting the aroma?
It is out of complete habit.
Yeah.
Just from 20-something years of selling wine.
Yeah.
Whenever you pop a cork, you smell it.
Take away. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. You're that guy. So I am that guy.
Why not?
Yeah. Now, let's go Suze. It's a fresh bottle, too.
This is like by far the weirdest cocktail I've ever actually.
I have no idea what this would taste like.
I know.
The Suze, I have no idea.
It's going to be very herbaceous and smoky. Less bitter tree barky as a Campari or bitter orange, and more herbaceous from the ingredients that are in Suze.
Wow.
You know, this almost strikes me as a way to, because again, Negronis, I've had Negronis, I'm almost positive because they've seen the color, they were clearly a Campari element in it. This seems like if you're trying to get away, like if you don't like Negroni, or if you think you don't like Negroni, maybe this is the way to go.
Yeah, just like the episode we did with the Boulevardier. You don't like Negronis? Do it with bourbon. A bourbon Negroni
got it.
is a little sweeter and less bitter. We're only doing a quick stir, combining the ingredients. I don't want dilution. I like assertive.
Can't wait to see this one.
Now watch this color.
Whoa.
See what I mean? Oh, it's almost
Is that Mountain Dew?
It almost looks like it's sweet. It's very yellow. It's almost like not quite Scotch. That's hella yellow. Look at that.
Yeah. It's
lime
fluorescent
Gatorade,
yellow.
lemon lime Gatorade.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it looks really
lemon
cool.
lime Gatorade. I still like oranges in this, so I'm going to peel quickly a little bit of an orange peel. It's going to go in the cocktail. Boom.
Can you imagine his fridge has all these like partially skinned oranges? It's just
that looks yeah, right, absolutely. That looks so good.
I love this cocktail.
Trip.
This is my preferred Negroni variation, to be honest. I like white Negronis.
Have you tried this white Negroni with, say, bourbon instead of mezcal?
No. No. I think the bourbon really works well with the Campari.
Okay.
The bitter orange flavor components.
And let me ask
There's
for
no
gin.
reason why you can't.
Yeah, of course. But what about gin? Again, would that be a no?
The juniper might overwhelm. I'm not going to say Suze is delicate, but juniper would be the forward flavor.
Okay.
Mezcal and even a reposado tequila, they are more elegant in flavor. I know it's smoke, so most people wouldn't call mezcal smoke elegant, but it's not overwhelming.
Okay.
So this doesn't just taste of smoke, and it's a one flavor cocktail. This combines well the smoke with the herbaceousness of the Suze and the aromatics from the Lillet.
You know, it's kind of funny. Like, we all can, like, kind of jokingly bring up tequila, and it's like, oh, yeah, that one night. But tequila, if you think about it, especially when it's not garbage, as soon as you get into something decent, it's stupid smooth. And even for mezcal, as smoky as it is, it's never like overwhelming in alcohol. Like when I switch from drinking bourbon, which is normal, to whiskey or to tequila, I'm just like, oh my God, this is like nothing. Because if you're drinking, I'm sorry, 90 to 100 proof, and then you switch gears to 80, dude, that's a big difference. So I could see how these other elements are a little more mellow because tequila mezcal is technically a little more mellow, certainly compared to the alcohol power of bourbons or But let me ask you this. You're bringing up a whole new. This is a big challenge, right? Because I'm going to go out on a limb. Maybe Crosby's bought Campari back in the day, but have you ever even heard of Suze? What would you do with all that Lillet? So, if I was to make a white Negroni, what else could I do with those other elements of this cocktail?
You know, I don't really use Lillet is a great aperitif. You can just start with a glass of Lillet on the rocks before dinner and sip it. Lillet has a lot more variations of cocktails because you can sub it in for vermouth almost everywhere. Suze, gentian root, French Alpine liqueurs.
Suze. Well, we don't talk about. It's like the relative of Thanksgiving that they're still in Montana.
Suze, it's like your old girlfriend.
I use it strictly for white Negronis.
I'm
sure other things.
What about doing the vermouth replacement for martini? What about that? Have you tried that?
You could use Lillet and a martini.
For a martini?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
There's no reason why you can't.
Lillet you can drink on its own. I assume like wine, just like in a glass, no rocks. What about vermouth?
An aromatic wine. So there's herbs and spices. There's all kinds of little things in Lillet.
What about
to give
vermouth?
it more flavor?
You drink vermouth on its own?
Yeah. Oh, yes. It's big in Spain to just sit around and drink vermouth.
So that to me is a whole other opportunity with embracing these cocktails. Because I know the problem is like I bought that. I mean, I have so many freaking not Cointreaux downstairs. And we make margaritas, by the way. You know what I mean? But you end up with surplus of that one element of a drink.
Yes.
I think it's super cool for people to go, not only should you make this cocktail, but drink Lillet, drink vermouth, drink it on your own, finish the bottle, finish it in 2 or 3 hours, like Steve does after dinner.
And always remember, we talk about it all the time. Your ingredients in these cocktails should be exactly like cooking. You want better ingredients. Better ingredients make better dishes. Same with cocktails. Better ingredients make better cocktails. So, and I'm sure if you start making these at home, you're going to go through a bottle of Suze a lot quicker than you would think.
Yeah.
These are really. That drink is so interesting because after looking at these other Negronis in our past episodes, I actually quite enjoy looking at the color, especially the Boulevardier. Like I call that a Sedona sunset. I mean, it is a cool looking color. You want to just kind of enjoy that, right? Because it is such a distinct look. I look at that drink. It's so yellow. Yet I see that orange peel. I get it. You got 10,000 oranges skinned in your fridge, you psychopath. But I mean, could you put a lemon up in there? I'm just trying to think of a different garnish for looks.
Agave,
lime,
because of the agave and citrus go really well together. There's no reason why you can't do some sort of dehydrated lime, a dehydrated lemon wet.
Got to be dehydrated.
Well, I'm just thinking outside the box.
Let's just keep it.
You could do a lemon peel. There's garnet. You know what you could do with this? Because of the herbaceous notes from Suze and the smoke, Rosemary. Just a little twig of rosemary.
That's kind of cool. I have a rosemary.
Sage would be really cool in this.
Now, since this is tequila, what about lime?
Yeah.
So this is mezcal.
Okay.
But it is agave. Citrus and agave go really well together. So yes, a lime peel, lemon peel. You can play around with the dehydrated stuff. There's a lot of things. You can garnish more.
He's like, oh, of course. Like, what? I know you have a lot of bottles. Now apparently has a dried good. It's like a road trip. Like we stopped off at the gas station and Greer's like, I gotta load up. I need these apricots. Give me 6 pounds of dried apricot. You complete psychopath.
That's funny.
Dehydrated lemon.
This is
my bar has outgrown my bar, put it that way. Duh. So I'm just getting rid of my bar and throwing all this in a pantry because I have no room.
Is there any connection? I know you said out the gate these are all from the previous Negronis to this one. This is dinner is a long since gone. Is there any kind of like thread of connection of like what a feast would have began with that would lead you down this path? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, would you have had margaritas earlier? Would you have been drinking tequila, mezcal? Yeah, and even just your thoughts about mezcal and food, because you mentioned a restaurant here in Austin that actually put on Best Thing Ever Ate, Suerte. Really, frankly, just really elevated Mexican food.
Yes, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, you aren't they? You ate there? Aren't they Oaxacan? They're Oaxacan, right? I've eaten there. I think they're Oaxacan style food. No one thinks about this because a lot of people like to lump international food into categories of, well, that's Chinese food.
Right.
We've said it before. The word ethnic has no place in the world of food ever again. These are bigger than just a single tagline. And Mexico is the same way. Baja food is different from Oaxacan food, is different from Mexico City. There's regionality to the dishes. And I think Suerte is Oaxacan. You bring up a really great point. Negronis, the juniper, that heavy Campari flavor, the sweet vermouth, just screams after dinner drink. You're sitting down, you're relaxing, you're sipping something.
Mm-hmm.
Same with the Bouvardier, with the bourbon. Bourbon, you can pair bourbon throughout dishes, but bourbon has heavier flavor components, vanilla, caramel.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when they use bourbon barrels for aging añejo and extra añejo tequilas, that heavier flavors of vanilla, caramel overwhelm the fragile nature of agave. Whereas a reposado, you're only kissing it with wood for a little bit, so you still stay agave flavors with some barrel flavors.
So all this stuff really is like a post-meal event. Like you've already experienced a lot of flavors, both food and drink.
So that's where I was heading. With mezcal Negronis and tequila, you can have these throughout the whole meal. You can start with it. You can have them with appetizer.
Ooh, fascinating.
You can do tequila and mezcal with seafood dishes easily.
I bet this would go really good with Mexican style barbecue. I feel like that would be a great, with some of the not the American flavors. Some of the best barbecue I've had was like in Mexico. Like just they're not just pouring barbecue sauce on everything, and it's not pork ribs or whatever. I think it'd be really cool to have
so like open fire grilled meats kind of thing.
That's what I'm guessing.
You can awesome. El Pastor tacos in this would be brilliant.
Wow, that's pretty.
Beef cheeks. I love beef cheeks.
I'm kind of curious, Crosby, because like it sounds like you've had it firsthand. Have you had like a lot of I know one thing I noticed when you're in Mexico and I'm like go to the grocery store to buy charcoal. You're not. I mean, you find match light? Sure, you don't find a lot of that freaking carbone, like full on the real deal stuff.
Right.
What are some of the grilled? I feel like you've had some experience with this Mexican barbecue in Mexico.
Well, yeah, it was just, I would just say it was kind of simpler. And I would say, yeah, there was maybe seafood, but I'm thinking of, no hot
Goat?
dogs, no, no burgers with cheddar cheese on it. I'm thinking of American barbecue versus Mexican. It was going to be, there was a lot of chicken breast, or there was
Grilled
pork
meat.
dishes that are not ribs or whatever. It was,
Right.
and
Not the
so.
low and slow, more just like the taste of grilled meat over open fire kind of thing.
Yeah, just a simpler, less saucy experience. And you gotta, of course, there's corn probably involved. There's gonna be,
Yeah.
putting stuff onto little tortillas, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's there's no ketchup, there's no white bread hamburger buns. You know what I mean? There's no mayonnaise. I think it's more of a simpler.
There's no sweet barbecue sauce they don't use.
Not
Right.
like
Wouldn't it be
sweet. Feels like it's a
salsas?
grilled meat taco cocktail.
Yeah.
Basically.
This with grilled lamb, or smoked lamb, smoked goat, goat barbecue. I mean, come on.
Carne asada.
And
I did that carne
Carne
asada the
asada.
other day. Seems like a
Carne
no-brainer.
asada. Yeah.
This is not as heavy as a traditional Negroni.
Ah, very cool.
This feels lighter on the palate. This feels brighter.
Mm-hmm.
You can have more of these while you're having cocktails or having your tacos.
So the Campari replacement was Suze, and there was
Suze or Genepi. And we'll post all these on there. And I have to remember
what I mean. That's a crazy ass bottle. You said I can't drink it on its own. What else am I doing with that thing?
You can drink this on its own.
You can't.
Most people can't handle the bitter nature of that on its own.
Okay. So on the rocks,
yeah.
It dilutes a little bit.
Yeah. You can pour that on the rocks, no problem. I'm going to pull out some of my notes because I know I went through this with. I wanted to figure out sweetness
because that
levels.
drink has such application to so many more things, but it also has elements that are like seldom used.
Yeah. At least I knew I did this. So Genetian root, Alpine French liqueurs, what the sweetness levels. So there's Suze, there's Celliers, there's Genepi, there's I think it's a Vise or a Vise. Suze is the sweetest, Cellier the driest, the fruitiest is a Vise. Genepi, I think, is the bitter. It's that more bitter component to Genepi. There's multiple. Every little Alp town or region has one of these cocktails where they just gather all the herbs and spices in the local mountains and they put them into a spirit, neutral grain spirit, and they create an Alpine liqueur. Chartreuse is really just a liqueur with a whole bunch of very secret ingredients that cause it to be very bitter. Chartreuse is very bitter.
We should maybe do a how-to on these 4 things that you're talking about right now, Steve, because it seems like a whole topic unto itself.
World. I mean, I think what's interesting too is like, you have a Negroni, but you really appreciate the components to really, to get into vermouth, to get into Campari, and then to get into this other stuff. I'm a little torn. Crosby, what this kind of concludes our trilogy of Negroni. What Negroni would you try first? And I'm talking about making it at home.
Today's for sure. I gotta try the white.
Today's?
Absolutely. I would want that one first. I've had a Campari. I would want to go for this. Absolutely, without a doubt. I want to try the Suze and the Lillet. For sure.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
What about you?
I mean, part of me is like, I think the bourbon, just because I kind of really fell for, I've had Negroni. I've always been like, Campari, what is this stuff? It felt weird. I feel like I want to commit. I want to I don't know if calling facing my fear, but I want to like kind of get down with Campari. I want to spend some time with it.
Really, bourbon would be the gateway.
Yeah, and I feel like the bourbon would be a good way to play with it because I already like bourbon anyways, and it's just a good play on something I already love. So it seems like a no-brainer. I don't know why. And vermouth is similar too, because I've never really bought vermouth and done stuff with it, right? I've only had it out as a component in a bar. But I whenever I see that bottle of Lillet, I'm just like, it looks cool. It looks like the bottle that makes, if like I could picture myself drinking it and having a very Hemingway kind of afternoon. So part of me is torn about getting into this mezcal one because it's an excuse to get into Lillet. And I feel like with all this stuff, it's not just about making the singular cocktail, but to go, I want to spend some time with Campari, some time with vermouth, or that hella weird alpine herby insano stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that's, it's just, I think, it is, I think I want to drink different. So I'm a little torn between the bourbon or this one. But yeah, I don't.
And don't forget, you can play around with the Campari version and just use Aperol, which is less bitter than Campari and a little sweeter, just slightly sweeter.
Yeah.
That can be your gateway into that whole world of Amaros.
I even have some of that stuff laying around. I'm like in the middle of my dry January, and I'm about to like start digging through the liquor cabinet. I hope it's.
I did half dry. I went half dry. I did 2 weeks, and that's it.
That's it.
I don't need to do full dry January.
Steve, this has been incredible. Any final points?
You bring up sorry to interrupt, but you bring up a great point, both of you. There's a whole world that most people do not think about. You do not have to drink the same things all the time. You don't have to spend a lot of money. A regular $7.50 of a spirit, if you're making 1.5 ounce cocktails, you really don't need 2 ounce cocktails. You get 18 cocktails out of a single bottle. Lillet, all the other mixers, we'll call them mixers. They're not technically mixers, but all those components, you're using 3/4 to an ounce. That's it. So you'll get 24 drinks. Well, actually, you'll get 28 out of Lillet if you're using 3/4. There's so many things to talk about and to taste and to enjoy. We could do a whole episode on vermouth. We could do a whole episode on Amaros, and we will. Actually, we're going to do that.
All right.
We'll do a whole episode on these.
Let's do it.
This is some good stuff here.
The White
Negroni. How
Negroni.
to enjoy an Amaro, how to enjoy a vermouth.
Yeah.
That's coming up.
Put it on the calendar. Put it on the calendar. All right, guys. Well, thank you for this unbelievable episode. My mind has been opened a lot.
Cheers.
So
crazy. I love that Mezcal White Negroni. Beautiful, Steve. Thank you, guys. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
All right, bye.